Happy Thursday to all of you. And again, thank you for joining. And let me introduce Hero Frenzel, who is producing and will be handling chat duties for us today and to keep me on point if I do stray. So here's the agenda that we're going to cover today. And one of the main problems that we see from a lot of sales teams and we hear from our clients is that sometimes they miss out on those high value deals when the individuals or their salespeople can't flex to the style of a different buyer. So what we're going to cover in this workshop today is we're going to show you how to turn that around by playing to your team's strengths. We're going to take out the guesswork. And what we want to leave you with is the knowledge of 3 secrets. It's going to help you sharpen your sales approach, get your team closing more deals, and maybe even turn some of those people into sales legends. Think of this workshop as kind of your secret weapon to level up your sales game. And what we're going to be discussing is critical sales skills that even high performers from time to time may miss out. You all have your own product knowledge. You all know your products and your wares. What we are sharing is communication and presentation techniques because for many, it's not intuitive to them based upon how they are. And some of you may say, well, I only kind of do some sales, or I'm not a true salesperson. Sales comes in many forms and fashions. We're going to cover that. But believe me, we all do sales. 28 years ago, I had to sell this to my wife. So trust me, we all dabble in the sales arena from time to time. So let's get into it. Let's talk about some of the sales stereotypes that we found to be the best profiles for sales. So bring up your chat, and if you're a salesperson, describe some of the highest things you see as it relates to highest performing salespeople. Maybe you manage a sales team, maybe you interact with salespeople, but in the chat, put a few of the behaviors that you tend to see, and we'll give you.
Yeah, we'll do one of our tactics and slowly count to 10 as people are finding the chat here. Got a couple things in here. Great talkers, make connections fast. They do pre-call planning. They're driven, goal-oriented, organized, productive, quick to contract and connect, resilient, adaptable, influential, outgoing extroverts who are great at paperwork.
I don't know about that one. I'm going to challenge that one, and it's not me.
Take action quickly, want to make money. Okay, so lots of stuff about being outgoing, connected, driven, a little bit in there about, needing to stay organized. Those are definitely all aspects that we see as well. Matt, go ahead and take us through what our findings have shown.
Yeah, perfect. And thank you all for sharing. And no question, that is all things that are absolutely sales strengths. And it can at times make those salespeople, even yourself, I can be guilty, a little bit of a pain in the neck. So let's look at the science and see what it says about some of those high performing sales behaviors. A bunch of you touched on it. Higher dominance. How many of you get those outbound calls from salespeople? If they hear no, what are they going to do? They're going to double down. They're probably going to make 180 calls a day. Why? Because they're driven. They want to get outcomes, and they know by making those additional calls, it's going to get them that outcome. And if they hear a no, that's a buying sign. That's just a way for them to turn that no into a yes. So no question. Lower patience. They have no problem pivoting. They can keep up with the pace. Your client decides to throw you a curveball, not a problem. They can ebb, flow, move, and do what they need. Think about why you see a lot of sales show up at the end of the month. We don't tend to wonder why. We know why. And again, it's feeding into a lot of these behaviors that we're talking about. Risk tolerant. A couple of you talked about money. No question. This aligns especially with somebody who's risk tolerant. They're comfortable with that commission. They like being able to earn more, kind of that unlimited cap that you'll hear about. Why? Because they're going to dig in. They're going to get the work done. And they would wear it as a massive badge of honor if they were the highest earner within that organization, potentially even outpacing the CEO. For those of you that are familiar with PI, these are some of the reference profiles. For those of you that aren't familiar with PI, not to worry, we're going to cover more of these concepts in depth in the upcoming slides. But we loaded a couple just for you to kind of identify with. But it all aligns to what each of you put in the chat, so perfect. One thing that isn't listed, or I haven't listed, is you may think is a missing component is, do these individuals need to be people person? Well, let's get into that. Let's see. Extroversion. That's what people think of when they may say a people person. Oh, they're an extrovert. And you tend to think of that with a traditional salesperson or a sales role. They're known for being enthusiastic. They're quick to connect. They can build a rapport. They're naturally persuasive. They like that interaction with people. They're fueled by those in-person interactions. And so for those reasons, these people could be excellent in roles that are in retail, auto, timeshare, more of that need type of sale. But sales can come in many forms. We've listed some low extroverts or introverts. They can be salespeople just as much as somebody who's a high extrovert. They're going to be the more reserved, the more analytical. Doesn't mean they can't turn it on for client interactions. I've got a good friend of mine who's an attorney. He is very formal. He calls me Mr. Bach, and I've known him since 8th grade. But when he gets into a courtroom, I asked, how can you turn it on? And he goes, well, I did my research. I know my data is infallible, so I can turn it on and I can flex. We've got a few consultants here at MindWire that are low extroverts and they do sales. And the difference is their style. Those low extroverts, they can connect with a different type of customer due to that formal style. They're great at asking strong analytical questions. It makes them great in more of those technical sales types roles. Sometimes those low extroverts are more comfortable with the phone sales. Why? Because they don't have to do that in person. They can be a controlled environment and they can just hunker down and do what they need to do. So again, comes in many forms. Can be high extrovert, can be low extrovert. So we've kind of discussed a little bit here about what makes a salesperson great, but believe it or not, they have some natural behaviors that can get them in trouble. And one of the things that can help with that is self-awareness. So those behaviors that we just talked about that make people great at sales, they can be a watch out. So here's some things what not to do, especially if you, your organization, your sales team wants to expand their relationships, your business. These are some of the things you're definitely going to want to avoid. Narrow questions. You ask a narrow question, you're probably going to get a narrow answer. And it's driven because of that higher dominance. They want to be in control. They probably think they're the authority. They know what the person wants. Ask that broader question. A broader question is going to get you more information. Situational listening. This is a big Achilles heel for me. It's driven by that low patience again. Listen, if you ask a good question to somebody that you're interacting with, guess what? You now have to listen and you got to hear them out. My Achilles heel in this is if somebody that I'm talking to, could be sales, could just be interacting. They tell me they've got a dog. I am probably magically gravitating towards my phone to show them a picture of my dog. But wait a minute, they're a functioning, normal, active human who is telling a story. I should probably listen. Darn, I want to show them my dog. Dominates the conversation. Again, it's that high dominance. Authoritative. That resonates with me. That's something I also try to work on. Listen, you want people to feel comfortable to share their needs, share what they're looking for. So if you dominate the agenda, you may only get what you asked. And if you ask that narrow question, it may not give you the full story or the whole picture. The pre-programmed pitch. You ever been somewhere and it sounds like that was the same pitch they used on the same 14 people before you came through the door? It's that low patience again. Are they cherry picking a little? Are they predetermining? Do they really not want to understand who you are and find out about you to see what your needs, what the help you may need, why you came in through the door? So again, you want to avoid falling prey to some of these things. These will definitely get a salesperson in trouble. But we've got some techniques. Whole reason you all showed up today for 30 minutes. So let's talk through some of those techniques. I'm going to share what Hero called this yesterday. This is the Earth Brownie. This is not the layers of the Earth. It's the Earth Brownie that we will now refer to it for now and forever.
It was the best picture I could find, Matt.
It's good. It works because it touches about what we're talking about here. Someone who just scratches the surface or somebody who takes the time to go a little bit deeper, a little bit broader. Again, if you're going to skim the surface, there could be gold in them there hills. And so you need to go a little bit deeper. Take a look at that middle one. Say it's event space that you're selling. If you just ask, a very light question, a very narrow question, you may get a more narrow response. What kind of event space are you looking for? Well, what are your goals? Might be a better way to pivot to that. And you may find out that this person isn't just looking for event space. They could be looking for a whole hosted event, a block of rooms. So again, that need to dominate, that need to move quickly, go a little deeper, go a little bit broader. What kind of space are you looking for? I don't know. One that holds people? Great, thanks for that response. Why don't you share with me what your goals are for this event? Boom. You'll often hear a lot of times with salespeople that they love when they're on site doing sales. Why? Because they see things. They hear different conversations. Things open up differently. So kind of think of this process of how you go about investigating as being that on site. And for those of you that do sales hybrid, in the world of rectangles, investigating is kind of your on-site visit because you're going to hear more. Somebody may go, you know what, I probably shouldn't share this with you. And that's the stuff that's going to allow you to truly understand and make it seem like you really want to be there doing this with that individual.
Can I share one more story before you go to the next slide, Matt?
Sure.
When I was looking for a new daycare for my daughter, we were looking to switch daycares, and you call in, they have some standard intake questions that obviously you need to know. How old is your daughter? When are you looking for care? How many kids do you have? What class would she be in? When do you want to start? Those kinds of things. And those are all the surface level questions that are important. But what the provider didn't then go for is they didn't ask these deeper questions of what kind of care am I interested in? What's most important to me when looking for a daycare? So after they finished their intake questions, they just went straight to that pre-programmed pitch. Well, we're accredited, blah, blah, blah. Our start date is la, la, la. Our budget or, the fees will be blah, blah, blah. And started talking about a lot of values and concepts that weren't really important to me, when if they had just dug a little deeper in the brownie and asked my goals for my child, my vision for the perfect daycare, I would have gladly spilled the beans and told them what mattered most to me. And they would have been able to hook me with, student to teacher ratio, how they have meet the teacher days, how they have parent volunteer days. Those were the kinds of things I was interested in. And I didn't hear about any of them because they just took the intake questions, scratched those surface levels, and went straight to the program pitch. So just another example of how taking a little bit of extra time to ask some broader questions can really help you hook your prospects or your customers before you get into the presentation.
Listen, we don't For a lot of us, we don't like the sales process. We don't like being sold to. But if you can navigate what Hero just experienced, it could be a massively different conversation and outcome for sure. And one of the things that we have found through all of our work with our clients and customers is what's in that green bar there. The most highly correlated skill to high sales performance, it's investigate. And you investigate until you think you've investigated enough. Ask another question. Your clients are all proud of the work that they do, your customers, and they want to talk about what they're spending most of their time with. Probably more time with that than they are with their personal life. So what is investigate? For those of you that may be a little unfamiliar or it may not seem natural. It's simply committing to asking multiple questions of your customer in order to discover their buying motivation before presenting. A lot of times we just want to present right out of the gate. That's great, present. Do you know what they're truly looking for? So investigate. What does that look like? Asking questions even broader than open-ended questions. Describe, tell me, share with me, help me understand. I did this yesterday with my wife, so you can practice this. Again, 28 years, we're getting stuck in ruts. We're probably reverting to cavemen. I knew my wife had a really crappy day yesterday. Typical Matt, hey, how was your day? And I'd probably get a, ugh. What did I do yesterday? I said, hey, Jane, tell me how your day was. I got 30 minutes. She went through all the things that she was dealing with one of her clients, and it opened up a much different framework as opposed to drop keys in Ben, how was your day, grunt, what are we having for dinner? Again, it's something that allows and invites the conversation. 80-20 rule. Those of you that are familiar with it, it's a hard one, especially for someone like me that loves to talk and loves to dominate. You want your client speaking 80% of the time, and you want to be speaking about 20% of the time. If you do the investigate properly and offer up those good broad questions, they're going to share. And if you're low patience, you want to show that picture of the dog, do the things like count. Let some air breathe. Because you might get them to then say, you know what, this is actually going to be happening. Probably shouldn't say it. Again, you're giving the person that you want to do something with, work with, the opportunity to share so that you can truly understand. Again, think of that on-site. This is the on-site way of doing it. If you're doing it with a phone call or you're doing it on a Zoom or Teams call. Listen before you make that pitch. Again, an example, we'll use event space. So you're looking for event space. How about describe to me what you're looking for today? Boom, hopefully folder opens, a whole framework. So think of investigating as kind of helping you open the door. Let's transition to how to connect with different types of buyers.
And this is a great technique because, as we mentioned, it's not necessarily a critical factor for you to be extroverted, to be good at sales. It's an asset for sure. A lot of you mentioned it, quick to connect, connects with others well. Even if you are on the lower on the extroversion scale, we've got this technique to help you connect with different types of buyers. Okay, hit it, Matt.
You got it. So wouldn't it be nice if we just intuitively knew all those innate drives of our customers? Make life so much easier. Are they like me? Are they not like me? Well, using observable behavior to quickly identify needs. It's one of the best ways. And the two factors that you can observe, patience for number one. Is this person really urgent? Or are they more measured, more stable? You've all seen that. Somebody that comes in hot, just wants to get it over with, or stable. The other factor, orientation. Somebody just task-oriented, wants to solve problems, wants to see big picture, get things done. Or are they more people-oriented, sociable, empathetic? If you can use those two observable behaviors to get a sense, you can start getting a sense of those buying styles or those types. And don't worry, you don't have to memorize this or jot it down. This is going to be one of the takeaways that Hero is going to provide all of you that joined today. But understanding, first off, that patience or that orientation, it's going to help you have a better understanding of each one of these four buying styles: controlling, analyzing, expressing, cooperating. So let's talk through that. So controlling. They need that bottom line results. They're task-oriented and urgent. Some of you that are existing clients, I'm going to use a few people here internally to make it a little bit more tangible. But Jerry Rudder, our president of MindWire, he would be a good example of controlling style. He probably is going to come in hot, may even ask for price, which you don't necessarily want to do. But ultimately, somebody who's controlling, they're looking for the bottom line. So I described to Jerry how he'll get the results with this sale. It's a bottom line mentality. Expressing. They're more people oriented and urgent. We've got one of those here within the company as well. Dejan Rose, another VP and partner. He'll like testimonials. Paint the picture for somebody who likes an expressing style. For Dejan, he wants to make sure that he looks good as it relates to the sale. So those testimonials, describing how the sale is going to support his big picture vision, going to be key. Cooperating. We have a resident cooperating style right on this call. So I'm going to turn it over to...
Who can it be? It's me, yes. Again, back to my daycare example, the cooperating, I'm very people-oriented and stable, steady, taking my time to make sure I've got the right decision and the right support. So the approach for that is to make sure that the salesperson is building a one-on-one relationship with me, even more so than you would for a controlling or expressing, that taking that time to make the sale or the offer familiar. So connect it to things I'm already familiar with, so that it doesn't sound like a big change, keeping it familiar and making sure that anyone else who needs to be involved in the decision is, so that I've got that stability of the relationships.
Thank you so much. And the last one is the analyzing style. It's more task-oriented, stable. They're going to be someone who's going to need time, detail, accuracy. Aisha, who some of you may know here internally, heads up all things operations for us. She's going to need time. It's going to be stability. It's going to be a measured pace. You salespeople, you want to go, go, go. Aisha is not going to care about your timeline at the least. She's going to take as much time to ensure that this sale is going to be factual. So with an analyzing style, you got to ensure you just can't rush. And again, the key to helping all this, and before you even address these needs, leverage what you found out during that investigate process. All of those questions have a reason, and it's to be able to assist you as you start to zero in and understand each one of these four buying styles. So where to begin? Well, if you're a salesperson or you work in a sales team or you interact with the sales group, identify your high performers. See what they have in common. You're going to get a buying styles handout. share it with your team. You do your sales individually, use it yourself. Map out your clients to be able to understand those buying styles. Reach out to us. Those of you that are clients or those of you that aren't, we're here unlimited to help you apply this sales data to get you the outcomes that every organization is looking for. Unfortunately, my good looks have not afforded me the ability to get things for free. Sales is a key component to every organization. So reach out to us. We'll be able to help you. Those of you that know who your VP are, they'll be more than happy to engage and help you walk through this process.
Great, thanks, Matt. And for those of you who want more of a program, a more formal program, we do have the customer focused selling workshop. You can check that out on our website. I put the buying styles handout in the chat here for you to download. And like Matt said, go ahead and take a look at that and identify some of your current customers, some of your prospects, and go, man, I think based on the way they're emailing me, they are definitely more of an analyzer or cooperator. Then you can figure out how to adjust. We're also going to send you an email follow-up with this recording, the handout, and also our top 10 list of investigate questions. So if you were scribbling down some of those questions on the Earth Brownie, we're going to email those to you and some better ones as well. So we've got 2 minutes left. We want to go ahead and open up to Q&A. Any questions you have for me or Matt about best profile for sales, the investigative questions, or the buying styles that we covered? We're happy to answer your questions today.
And while some questions are coming in, you'll note our next bite-sized 30-minute workshop is October 23rd, Delegation Mastery. No, I can't delegate. Well, that's why you need to join and listen to Mary. So October 23rd is going to be the next 30-minute workshop. Perfect.
And I'll go ahead and post that sign up in the chat as well. We've got a few questions coming in, Matt. The first one is, we said low patience is great at sales. Is high patience ever good at sales? What's your quick take on that?
Can be based upon the type of sales. Like we talked about, there are different ways to sell, and based upon what you're selling, definitely could be complex. Again, the buying style of the person that you're interacting with, that patience may align very well. So probably will determine on the type of sales or the type of customers.
Yeah, I agree. I heard a really great case study where someone was a top performer in sales and they had high patience and even lower dominance, which I'll talk about. We've got another question here about that as well. And the difference was that this person, their sales were by region, and the region that they had was the region they'd grown up in. So they didn't need that fast-paced sense of urgency because they'd had their whole life to build relationships with the people in their area, and that's what they were leveraging to get good sales. If you're in a different area, definitely lower patience is an asset for sure. So the second question we've got in is, can you talk more about the assertiveness dominance factor when it is a slower pace or more complex sale? So we did talk about how, higher patience might be an asset with those customers, but if you've got high dominance, you're a go-getter, and you've got low patience, but it's a complex sale, it's B2B, it's a long timeline. What's your recommendation or tips about that, Matt?
Understanding that self-awareness is key. Again, we're all, for those that are salespeople, and I've spent a good number of years in sales, when the good days are good, the world's on fire. When it's slow, you want things to happen. So understanding and having a little bit of that self-awareness to know that sometimes it may take a little bit of time. Again, if you investigated properly, if you're identifying that this is going to be a longer play, you may need to pinch yourself from time to time or tap that hand when you want to speed it up. So it comes down to taking a little bit of that self-awareness and realizing that not every sale is going to go lightning fast, which for a lot of salespeople is the way we all want it to go. So, yeah.
Yeah, the other thing that we teach in customer focused selling is sometimes you got to reframe what a win is. If it's a long-term sale, you're like, the win is when they sign the dotted line. Sometimes a win to help satiate that drive is they responded, they booked another meeting, and added in another decision maker. So helping your sales team members reframe what winning looks like so that they can continue getting that dopamine hit of the small wins since it takes longer to get to the big sale.
Yep, trust me, getting that response to an email that may have sat vacant for 2 weeks will be a win. It may not be the ultimate goal, but it'll be a win to know that, hey, this is still progressing along. That is a hard one for sure, but again, one that you can definitely navigate.
Great. All right. Well, we're over time. Thanks so much, everybody. Again, if you have any other questions, you can reach out to us, and all of this will be hitting your inbox soon, if not by tomorrow. So stay tuned for next month when we're doing delegation, and we hope you all have a great rest of your Thursday. Okay.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.